Hello, my friends. So today I want to share with you one of the most powerful practices I know for learning how to quiet the mind. It's a very simple practice, but it is profoundly powerful when practiced with consistency. And it is a practice that allows us to really, over time, quiet down the mind. Why might we want to quiet the mind? You may have heard the term quiet the mind and open the heart. This is what allows us to live more authentically, more fully, from our truest essence of being, from the deepest truth of who we really are. That's what we reference when we reference the heart. We're referencing our deepest core of essential peace and love and presence. But the mind gets in the way. We all know that. The mind is a bit of a noisy character. Mind in this regard is thinking. And the thinking of the mind, the constant narration of the mind, tends to veil or obscure the knowing of our truth, of our wholeness, the heart. So, how do we quiet the mind, and why is that important? Let's talk about the mind for just a bit. The habitual nature of the mind is to constantly be assessing the world around us, to constantly be narrating its opinions, its beliefs, its judgments about what is happening and what it means to me. And the me that is typically doing this assessing is the ego self. It is the personal self, if you will, or the self that has been constructed over time in our own mind. It's our conditioning. It is our programming. It is our story about what it takes to be loved, to be accepted, to be validated, to feel safe. The mind is constantly chattering away with its narratives about, what do I think about what just happened? Oh, what do I think about that? And what's the meaning of that? And is that a threat to me, or is that, do I want more of that? Do I want less of that? Is that good for me? Is that bad for me? And the me that is doing that assessing is the ego self. When we quiet that, when we slow that down and quiet that, it creates a gap in our thinking. And through that gap, our truth, the essence of who we really are, beyond the personal self, the more whole self, if you will, can shine through that pause in the thinking, or that diminished thinking, that relaxed thinking, that slowed down thinking, the quieting of that thinking creates a gap. And the essence of our being can be known, can be seen, can be felt, can be experienced. And when we talk about quieting the mind and opening the heart, the opening of the heart is the easy part, because the heart is already full, it's already whole. And again, by heart, we mean the truth of our being, the essential nature of our wholeness, of our truth, of our soul self. It's just ready to blossom. You can think of it like a sidewalk growing over or placed over a seedling that wants to sprout. The sprouting of the seedling is natural. It's just ready to go. But the layering of the concrete is what inhibits the growth or the knowing or the expression of that seedling. If we simply remove the concrete and provide a little bit of water and nourishment to that seedling, it's going to blossom in its natural essence. It's going to blossom into into its most authentic expression. We don't have to, really conjure that and force that. We simply remove the concrete, and that seedling will sprout, will blossom. So when we quiet the mind, it's like removing the noise, the distraction. And when that quiets, when that's removed, when that's relieved, the essence of our being, our wholeness, our peace, our sense of completeness can be known. So, the practice that I want to share with you, this is a practice we dive into even more deeply in my 5-day Inner Peace Challenge. We've got one coming up soon. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and look in the description below, and there will be a link to learn more about the 5-day Inner Peace Challenge. It's just an hour a day for 5 days where we really dive deep into what does it take to become present to the deepest piece of our being that already resides within. It's just obscured by a whole lot of noise of the mind. That's why the course that is at the heart of the Inner Peace Challenge is called the Beyond the Noise course. It's learning how to live, how to thrive beyond the noise of our own thinking and narrating and assessing and judging. So check that out down below if this resonates and you want to go deeper in these types of experiences. So this practice is the practice of intentionally not narrating the world around us, not narrating the world of form that we perceive typically when our eyes are open and we're gazing about the world. So here's how this works. Initially, it does require some sort of a meditation practice. Any meditative practice, breathing practice, chanting practice, anything that slows down our thinking and allows us to come to rest in a bit of stillness and peace. Whatever that is for you. The practice I want to invite you to add to your meditation practice or your stillness practice is just before you open your eyes, you're going to remind yourself that when you open your eyes, you're going to look at the world around you from this rested place, from this quiet place, and you're going to try to not narrate what you are seeing. You're going to try to not name what you are seeing and what you think about it and what it means and how it might contribute to your life or to your plans or your agendas or the next thing that you're about to do. Because we all know this experience. You come out of a meditation and pretty quickly the mind is like, okay, done with that now. And it just gets right back to its habitual narrative about assessing and judging the world around us. So the practice is, as you open your eyes to look about and see if you can just notice the world, witness the world, observe the world without needing to describe it, without needing to name it or qualify it. When I first tried to do this, that ability to just sit and be and just witness the world without naming anything, I could do it for about 2 seconds. It was stunning how quickly my mind immediately, just habitually, opened my eyes and I went, okay, here I am. I'm looking around and, oh yeah, there's my nice houseplant. I love that houseplant. That's great. It needs watering right now. Oh, And I'm just right away in my planning and setting an agenda and thinking about what I'm looking at. So if that happens, and it probably will, it isn't a failure, it's natural. The invitation is simply to start again. Okay. Oh, I just named it. Oh, I just started a narrative. Okay. Not naming, just witnessing. And you just start to notice over time that you can actually experience life without needing to tell your story about it. To just allow it to be. This is an incredibly powerful and profound practice. To learn how to train yourself to just allow yourself to just be and let the world just be, and not constantly needing to judge it or assess its value or its meaning. Very simple, but incredibly profound. Now, initially, you do this practice coming out of a meditation because it's easier then. You're already in some stillness. You're already in a bit of quiet. And what you're doing is you're practicing extending that quiet from the formal meditative or stillness practice into your normal everyday life. Okay, I'm ending my meditation practice. Now I'm going to open my eyes and let's see if the stillness that I'm currently experiencing can be maintained when I then start to take in all the data points that typically trigger my thinking. Can I have that thinking not be triggered so quickly and just notice life? And as you notice life, you'll start to notice the quality of the noticer. Now, if that doesn't fully make sense, come to the Inner Peace Challenge and we'll really help you to come to a deep felt experience of your deepest inner peace and stillness as the witness to all of your thoughts and all of your emotions and all of your experiences, as the calm, peaceful witness, awareness of all of it. So as you aren't narrating, you're just letting life be. You're also noticing that you're just being. You're not having to think. You're not having to assess, plan, strategize. You can just be. And that quiets the mind. And remember, when the mind is more quiet, in that gap of thinking, the truth of your being, the wholeness of your being, the beauty of your being, the grace of your being will shine through. And that's what we're all looking for. That's what we're seeking. We're seeking to know and abide and feel comfortable with and familiar with the grace of our own being. And in my work, grace simply means truth. We'll go into that a lot more also in the 5-day Inner Peace Challenge. Grace just means your truth. To know the grace of your being is to know the truth of yourself, the truth of your being. So we start this from a meditative position, a meditative point of view, if you will. However, what will start to happen if you practice this consistently, and I did this, a year of my meditation practice when I first learned of this practice, this tool. I did it for probably about a year coming out of every meditation. I made sure that as a part of that meditation, I would open my eyes and spend some time just sitting and observing the world around me without habitually triggering thoughts and judgments and assessments. After a while, you'll start to notice you can just do it anytime you want. You could be out on a walk And typically, when we're out on a walk, the mind goes, "Oh, good, I don't have all the obligations of life. I can think about life. I can think about my relationships and my plans and my opportunities and my possible failures and my fears and my doubts." You'll start to have this capacity to just be out on a walk with a quiet mind. The ego will argue. The ego will go, "What's the point?" If the ego says, if I'm not thinking about things, if I'm not assessing things and applying meaning to everything that I'm observing, then there's no meaning to any of it. The ego thinks its meaning is the only meaning there is. And that meaning that our ego is giving to all the things that we observe, that meaning is based on our conditioning and our programming, our stories, our narratives, our cultural norms, etc. What if you could just be with the world and allow it to be as it is without applying your narrow sense of meaning to all of it? You'll find you're just driving down the road, that you'll be able to intentionally stop and say, okay, I'm going to observe the world around me without creating a narrative, without creating the noise of thinking. And every time you do so, your truth, your wholeness, your grace, your beingness, your peace can blossom, can shine through that gap in your thinking, that relaxed, easeful moment of being. Your truth of being can be known, felt. And then you begin to trust it. You begin to become very familiar with your truth, its simplicity, its beauty, its peace, its stillness. And if you can live this life as that, identified as who you really are, rather than identified as the thoughts and narratives of your egoic mind, that's freedom. That is to know our deep inner peace. And to see the world and meet the world through the lens, if you will, of that peace, through that awareness, through that identity of the boundless grace of our own being, rather than through the mind's very narrow interpretations of everything that it is experiencing. So that is the practice, to help quiet the mind so that we may open to our heart. We may create that opening where the heartful nature, the wholehearted nature of our being can be known, felt, experienced, and become so familiar and trusted that it simply becomes the way we encounter the entire world at all times. All right, my friends, enjoy. If you have questions, go ahead, post them down below. I'd love to hear your experiences with this practice, how hard it may have been initially when you first started, how it became easier over time. Just remember, when you first attempt this practice of opening your eyes from a meditation and not naming anything, it may not last very long. And you find all the ways that you do name things. Like you might be looking out a window at a tree and you go, okay, I'm not going to name it, but boy, it is beautiful. And then you realize, oh, that was naming it. That was judging it. That was assessing it. That was qualifying what I'm looking at with some sort of a narrative. It's a nice narrative, a positive narrative, but it's still a storytelling about what you're experiencing. It takes a little while. Just notice if you start thinking about everything that you're experiencing and how those thoughts cascade. They just cascade. Like I said, I might look and say, oh, there's my beautiful houseplant. Oh, it's such a beautiful houseplant. Oh, it does need watering. I haven't watered it in like a week, but of course I've been distracted because I've got this whole new business project I'm putting together and that's taken a lot of my time. And God, Ted still hasn't gotten back to me with that email about and just you're off and running with the noise of your own mind. All right, my friends, enjoy. Again, please come join us for the 5-day Inner Peace Challenge. You'll find the link below to the next challenge. You'll be able to sign up for that, learn all about it, and see if it's a good match for you, a good fit for you, for where you are in your life as you endeavor to know yourself fully, to know the full dimensionality of yourself as a human, spiritual being. All right, be well.